recording. This is being recorded for future watching benefits. It will be posted on our website as of the next day or two. So if there's anybody else you want to see this, or if you get distracted or have to go help a customer and miss part of this presentation, you can always come back to the video. So again, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for your time today. My name is Charles Owen. We're going to get into the webinar presentation, which I'm very excited to share with you. This is the Streamline Employee Management with Deputy. So what we're going to learn today is we're going to do some introductions. I've got a guest speaker today from Deputy, Derek, and we will go through the formal introductions in a moment. We're going to talk about Paladin's integration with Deputy just briefly, and then I'm going to turn the presentation over to Derek, who's going to talk about trends in employee retail management. He's also going to give you a demonstration of the Deputy software, which is really awesome stuff. Then we'll have a wrap-up, Q&A, and then as always, there's a last slide at the end where you can go and learn more information about this. So as far as introductions go, you all know me. I've been doing these webinars for a few years now. My name is Charles Owen, Chief Retention Officer for Paladin. And I'd like to introduce to you Derek Jones, our VP of Sales of the Americas. He works with a Deputy. Derek, say hey. Oh, Derek, you there? You're on mute, I think.
There we go. Thank you, Charles. Derek Jones with Deputy here. Great to be on the call today with you. I know everyone's so busy running your businesses, so hopefully you get some value out of today, and looking forward to showing you how we might be able to save you a little bit more time.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that, Derek. And anyone that's attending this webinar today, or if you're watching this on a recording, you need to take a serious look at this product, because this is something that's really going to be a life changer for you. It is going to potentially save you lots of time and hassles, as well as answer the question, do you have a time clock? And the answer is yes, we have a time clock. We can talk about a little bit about the Paladin integration, how we integrate with Deputy. So our information gets pushed up to Deputy on a nightly basis. So we push all the sales and history and transactional data. And what happens is Deputy takes this information and pulls in the data, graphs it, and forecasts and builds the employee schedules. So besides just the time clock, Deputy also will maintain and create for you your employee schedules, which is phenomenal. I mean, can you imagine just coming in and doing your scheduling? I know it's a big hassle for retail stores. You've got different peaks and valleys when things, customers come in and you have high times and low times, and this is just going to really accommodate those needs. So this is an automatic feature. You just turn it on once, and the information just flows up to Deputy on a nightly basis. It's very, very automated. Now we're going to get into the exact demonstration here, but this is just one of the screens that when I pass this over to Derek, he's going to talk about. This screen is going to manage all of your sales, your forecasting, your required staff, your scheduled staff, all the information, and it's going to give you estimated sales and wages. It's all information that you need, and you probably, I don't know how you do it today, because it's almost impossible to manage this, but this is going to completely automate that process. So I think we've teamed up with the right company. It's the most comprehensive, straightforward product. The folks at they have a great team of people there. Derek has been tremendous to work with. So I am going to pass the baton at this point and let Derek show you all the bells and whistles and what Deputy can offer you. Derek, I'm going to go ahead and pass you. Let's see.
Great. Oh, I might already be sharing my screen here, Charles. Maybe can you verify that?
It looks like I see it on my side. So
excellent. Excellent. So I will do.
Let me ask somebody out there. Anders, can you see Can you see Derek's screen now? You should be looking at the deputy demonstration slide. I think this is it because, yeah, now viewing Derek. There you go. So you got it,
Excellent.
Derek.
See a hand up. Excellent. Well, thank you again, Charles, for the introduction and the opportunity to speak with the Paladin POS customer base. So what we want to do today is show you how we are seeing what some trends in retail employee management are and how a proper workforce management solution can help address some of the challenges and trends that you're seeing. So we're going to demo, actually get into the product and demo Deputy, but at its core, we're a scheduling and a time clock company. We have some other features that are wrapped around the product, but most like retail, pharmacy type companies that we work with are using pen and paper for scheduling and time clock today. So at its core, that is what we are, and we'll click over and show you some of the things that I think might be helpful. But for the first thing that we wanted to cover are just 5 things that we see as trends in retail employee management. And as we go through the list, you'll probably say, you're right, I see that. I'm experiencing those things. Those pressures are real, and we want to acknowledge these because showing you the product isn't as relevant if we can't draw the connection between what problem are we really trying to solve if you make an investment in this type of technology. So the first thing that the trend that we've recognized is employee engagement. Your associates on the floor, your cashiers, your staff members. In today's world, your brand is the culture of your employees. If your employees are happy, they convey that to the customers. If they're not happy, they come in and that shows up in the customer experience as well. Where there are so many brick and mortar competitors, there are so many online competitors. And so coming into your brick and mortar store, customers not only expect to find a product, but they expect to be engaged, they expect to meet with employees and to have an experience that they can't get online. And so the culture that you have, the energy level with those employees is your brand, regardless of whatever your actual name of your company is, whatever your logo is, your people are really your brand. The second trend we see is the gig economy. We see the pressure that you faced to attract and retain hourly workers has never been more intense. It's very easy for anyone who has a car to sign up to drive with Uber or Lyft, or to deliver. Even with Uber and Lyft today, you can, if you don't want to drive people and passengers, you can actually do pickups for like Uber Eats or Seamless or any types of, or Grubhub or any other types of work. And those jobs, what we see, the pressure is that they have ultimate flexibility, that employees can say, my schedule, like I have class, I have school, I have children, I have 2 other jobs. They can decide when they want to work, how long they want to work, and that ultimate flexibility, even if the job may actually pay a little bit less than you're paying, that flexibility is a big trade-off. We actually ran a study internally at Deputy with some of our customers last year that showed employee flexibility in their schedules is the equivalent of a 20% wage increase. So if you're able to offer the flexibility around their schedule, they actually value that at a premium versus 20% more in their actual pay rate. Very important because we're seeing these gig economy type companies really compete for your type of worker. The third trend is what we call experiential retail. And this, everyone we know today, we're competing for customers. Your location of your physical store is obviously a major investment, but you also are investing in your online strategy. What products do you offer online? Do you offer shipping? How about same-day shipping, same-day installation, those types of things? We're seeing that pressure of, and also just customers' expectations about, hey, I'm going to shop for something online, and then I want to go in the store and I want to see it. Maybe they want to put their hands on it before they actually purchase it. Or maybe the reverse. Maybe they customers come in to actually see a product. Maybe it's a grill product. Maybe it's a lawnmower, a really big ticket item. And then they say, you know what, but I'm going to go back online and do a little bit of research. I want to make sure I'm getting the right price. I'm going to check out the reviews. This type of purchasing behavior is what we call experiential retail, where your brick and mortar store is a storefront to sell things, but is really a house to engage the customer and to help educate them along making certain decisions. One example that we see in retail that's not necessarily hardware, but are brands like Untuck It, which is a retail apparel store. They actually started out completely online, and now have opened up these small footprint stores. They actually don't even sell product in the store. It's more of a place to go to get the right correct sizing, to finish, to submit returns, but they still want to get the brand out there, and they sell, quite a bit online and quite a bit in the stores. So we're seeing that as a trend where footprints of physical retail stores are getting smaller, products are being sold online, but it's still very, very important to have that retail presence. Trend number 4, we're seeing, rise of the bots and tech-assisted sales. I have as an example here, Amazon has, recently, introduced, even in their Amazon Alexa, you can actually talk to Alexa and say, hey, add this to my grocery list if you're in the kitchen, and it'll just automatically order, and it's making decisions about which retail store or which grocery store to purchase from. We're also seeing even the physical products that you have in the store, including technologies like you have with Paladin, tech-assisted sales there on the floor. We're seeing bots, chat bots on websites handle interactions with customers that are pretty smart today. That, and the thing about a bot is it never turns off. Someone is shopping at 2 a.m., you turn it on your website. And so again, I think we're painting this picture that customers' expectations of a business have just never been higher, and the way that they're shopping is certainly changing. And the 5th trend that we're seeing is the schedule complexity around labor laws has never been more complex. If you're a business in California, New York, you have meal and rest break laws. Even if you're not in a state that has a lot of these labor laws, we're seeing predictable or fair work week schedule practices, laws being passed where you have to create schedules, a couple weeks in advance, and you can't change those schedules. We're seeing this law passed really, really rampantly. It's already passed in Seattle, the whole state of Oregon, New York. It's been passed in Philadelphia, many jurisdictions in California, and is coming up in Chicago. And so as we go walk through the deputy product, we'll connect the dots here, but creating a schedule is very complex. It's not only just who can work. You're trying to balance this customer experience. When customers come in, you want the right engagement. You don't want to have a long checkout line. You also want to meet the preferences of your employees to give them that flexibility that they may need, but you're also trying not to break any labor laws or schedule them for overtime, or if you put any minors to work, there's certainly other rules around that. So notably, these trends, maybe all of them affect you, maybe only one or two, but that's why Deputy has stepped in and created a product that helps you address these particular items. So what I'm going to do is actually click over to the Deputy web-based product. And again, at its core, Deputy is a scheduling and time clock product. You may use a pen and paper or a spreadsheet today, or you might have some type of physical clock in your store, but Deputy helps simplify and address all of those trends in the retail management by creating a very simple to use web-based scheduling and time clock platform. So what you see here is just the overall product, and as I click through, just quickly, you'll see, we have, a dashboard that helps keep you up to date on what's going on. So the problem this helps solve is you as the manager or the scheduler, there's so many crazy things going off, and this person's on PTO, and I need to approve these time cards. Keep a nice little dashboard. We also see communication with your retail staff is very difficult. So we have a very simple to use communication portal that you're able to send messages. Employees can use their own personal email addresses to register for Deputy, and then it connects them in with the Deputy product, and you can send out general information. You can send out updates on product SKUs just to make sure that the communication gets there, because not all of your staff works every day. And we also see a lot of retail stores, maybe unnecessarily call staff meetings on Saturday morning just to get basic information out, to their staff. So that's sort of some of the products wrapped around the scheduling feature, but our bread and butter is certainly the scheduling module. So what I have here is a schedule, and it's blank. And this is normally where you start at the beginning of a scheduling week. But what Deputy has done with Paladin is we have actually integrated the sales and transaction data from your store, and we help project future sales and transaction based on your historical trend. So what you see here, as I've expanded the stats panel, before we create a schedule, I, as the scheduler, would like to see what is my trend. This particular is our transaction or traffic counter, and we can bring in, other particular data that you may have in your store. But this graph represents the transactions in 15-minute increments for maybe a year or more than a year, and we're able to bring that over from Paladin. Then Deputy projects and averages those out and smooths out the curves and says, hey, here's what we're projecting for a store that opens at 7 and maybe closes at 7 p.m., what your traffic count will be and what your transactions will be, so you can schedule people appropriately. And the employee profile, we also have employees' availability. We also know when they're on leave, and we know that they're trained for certain tasks and positions. Like, for example, if you're a manager, then we might have the manager requirement as training to actually be scheduled into that area. Maybe you have a certain cashier training, but these will help govern the rules that help get someone scheduled. But to schedule, once it's all set up, it's very simple. We just press the auto button. And what Deputy does is it's looking back at your historical transactions. We've told it a little bit of rules around like how many people you want as on a minimum as a shift. Like maybe you always want one manager and one cashier. But then when it gets busy, you want maybe one additional associate on the floor. Maybe you need 2 closers. We're able to input items like maybe when your truck is being received to make sure that we have the appropriate amount of people to unload the truck. We can load all those rules in today. And Deputy, what it's done, you can see in the background, it has created a schedule. The black line, which you can see in the background, is actually the schedules that have been staffed. And right now, we're actually filling the schedule with the appropriate associates. So because I showed we have the employees' availability, we know they're trained, we know certain employees you want to give 40 hours to, certain ones that you maybe want more part-time hours for. So Deputy looks through all that information and will actually put the people in. And again, I'll drive this back to the top trends in retail management, right? Your employee associates want work, but they want to make sure that it works for their life. We want to make sure that you're scheduling for that customer engagement, to meet the customers when you have those peaks, to make sure they have a great experience when they walk in the store. And so what Deputy has done here is then we create the schedule and we're actually filling it with the appropriate people. Now, you can make any edits to this. This is not like the machines are taking over. Deputy allows the business to, you can see we have all the employees who have been inserted. And you can certainly go in and make any changes. You can change the people. You can do whatever you want here. You are the final decision maker. Now, if you say to yourself, hey, that's really cool in advance, but I maybe just want to use the same schedule over each week, that's no problem. We have a template-based approach. But what this enables you to do is really, as you hover over this stats bar, and this is the magic of what Paladin has done, is you can see here, like, am I appropriately staffed? I'm projecting to have X amount of transactions during this period, and I have 2 people on staff. You can even drill into a daily view if you want to really identify, like, do I really have the right people at the right time? And you can see just visually, maybe you want to move someone over. You can certainly move these people around, change their times if you'd like as well, just to make sure that you have the right coverage. You can save these templates and just copy and paste them each week if you want. The true power of the Deputy and Paladin integration is getting this transaction data to understand. Like this red line here are your projected transactions over the course of the day. And what we can see from a visual check is, you know what, I'm staffing appropriately as I'm scheduled to really meet that increased demand, to make sure that customers aren't waiting too long, and also that you don't have people unnecessarily sitting idle on the clock. So even if you manually schedule, which is very easy to do, you can just create shifts or just use Deputy's template-based structure. The power is in seeing this visualization of your historical transactions and sales that's coming over nightly from the Paladin integration. So from there, we've got like maybe 2 more minutes here. What I'm going to show you is the downstream process. So you have a great schedule that you're happy with. Deputy's going to publish this schedule, and I'm going to send notifications through email and to the Deputy mobile app. So your employees will get a push notification on the Deputy mobile app. And then what happens if I click over into our mobile device? So what I'm pulling up now is Deputy's mobile app. It's free to download for the employees. And if they come here, they can actually see those schedules that were published. I can actually see I'm working Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Maybe they can't work, they're sick, or something's come up. They could swap or offer their shift directly with employees, and we will make sure they won't break any rules. If you're a cashier, you have to trade with someone else who has the cashier training. We won't let you break a rule that schedules someone into overtime. All of those types of rules, all the same rules that you use as a scheduler won't be broken. I think the advantage for you as a manager, someone who is scheduling, is maybe that on-call phone that you have to take home, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. You have to handle all those I'm sick or I have my flat tires. Those things can actually, the employees can swap and offer shifts directly. So I have my shifts, I'm ready to work. Now what happens? So Deputy does have a time clock. You can see here in the upper left. This is actually on my mobile device. It does a GPS geo check to make sure that if the employee is actually at the store or not. And if I actually click this and click to start the shift, you can see this is actually a kind of a negative example, which is good to show. This store is in New York and I'm here in Atlanta, and it's telling the employee, you know what, we're not gonna let you clock in. You actually need to be near the store. So that's one method to clock in. I would say though, probably the predominant way that businesses clock in for retail is what Deputy calls our kiosk. This is run on an Apple iPad or an Android tablet. So what I've done is I've actually just switched over, and this would be a tablet that is sitting on the wall. And if I come here, I can actually see who is scheduled for today. I see my name, Derek Jones. I enter my unique PIN, and I can actually see I'm scheduled as a cashier today. On the left side, I can actually see any messages that my manager has posted for me. I can see any tasks that have been assigned to me. But the predominant function here is, hey, I need to clock in. I actually need to clock my time. So I'm gonna hit start shift, and that's me. And actually I have no hands on this. It actually automatically detected my face. It took a picture, and it actually runs a biometric check against the headshot that's actually in the application. Now this is an optional feature if you want to turn the facial recognition on, but it does prevent buddy clocking from taking place. And even in a small business retail store, we see about 4% of payroll, whether it's intentional or not, being stolen from the employer because of buddy clocking, intentional or not. If you're doing paper time cards, sometimes people round up a little bit. So again, it may not be intentional, but it happens. And so we'll actually make sure that that person is clocking in and out for the times they're supposed to be there. And when they're finished with their day, or let's say they need to start their break, I have just started my break. I can end my break, and at the end of the day, I can end my shift, and I'm good to go. All the time cards go into Deputy. They're stored. You can approve them and export them to any payroll system that you already have today. So if we recap, just if we think about the 5 trends in employee management, we talked about employee engagement. Your employees are your brand. With Deputy, you're able to give them a mobile application. It empowers them to say, you know what, I can trade and swap my shifts directly. I get communication from my employer. I feel like I'm in the loop, even though I'm a part-timer. Number 2, the gig economy. You're competing with the flexibility of Uber and Lyft. I showed how you can input employee availability and their preferences to make sure that you're scheduling them at times that make sense for them, but also make sense for the business. Number three, this experiential retail. This means having the right people at the right time to meet when customers are coming in. I showed even if you just do the eyeball test and just manually create your schedules and copy them over, the data that's coming over from Paladin is really powerful to make sure you are appropriately staffed. And also like 4 and 5, if I group those together, Deputy helps make sure that you're staying compliant with a lot of the major labor laws, like making sure people take their breaks, accurately tracking time, having your employees track their time, and having everything in an electronic system. So in case it is questioned, it's reportable. You can prove that you gave them hours, that you gave them a meal break, etc. So I hope that's helpful, connecting the dots with the top trends, with what the Deputy product offers, and the really amazing job that Paladin has done syncing the transaction and sales data so we can make smarter schedules to help take your business to the next level. So with that, I'm going to pass it back over to Charles.
Well, that was super impressive. Great job, Derek. Thank you so much for that. I was just couldn't take notes quick enough here. There's just so much I've learned, and hopefully this was useful and worth everybody's time. I would like to, before we go, I would like to mention that there is time for questions and answers if you have any questions, and it looks like there are a couple in here. Hopefully you can see this as well, Derek, but one of the questions is, how does Deputy know if you need a paint or forklift driver for a certain shift? And I think you can answer that. You're on mute. I can't hear you. There you go.
Great question. I think, Deputy has, we call it sort of like the 3 bears principle. We have very basic ways to handle things. We have sort of moderate advanced ways, and we have really advanced ways. I would say probably the more realistic way to handle that, or probably like the basic way, is Deputy schedules into these sections called areas. And you could simply add like a truck area. And you could go ahead and just add an open shift, or like what we call an open shift, or just an unassigned shift. Let's say that truck is always coming on Wednesday. Great, it comes around 7 a.m. You could just go ahead and schedule, a 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. shift and save this into the template to make sure that when you copy this over every week or every 2 weeks, whatever that may be, that you always are visually reminded, I need a person during that day. That's sort of probably how most retail businesses handle it. If you want the auto scheduler to include things like when your truck is going to be there, we can build those rules in too. It's just a little bit more setup time, and what happens if the truck day changes, etc. So we see this being a very common way to handle it, which is just to create an additional area. You could call this paint, you could call it truck, you could call it delivery. You can really create as many areas as you want to break out your schedule. And then you have full discretion over creating how many and what times those shifts might be. Great question.
Thank you. Thank you, Derek. There's another one too. You mentioned a kiosk for iPad and Android. Does it work on a PC as well?
Absolutely. So the Deputy time clock, I'm actually right here on my web device here. So I'm here on the web. You can actually see I clocked in on the kiosk, but you can see I'm logged in, and then you could start or end your shift. So if a business wants to start just with, kind of using a web-based system, actually, there you go. I'm going to share my screen back here. Thanks, Charles.
Yeah, I got it.
You can see here, so I'm logged into the web-based product. I started my shift on the kiosk, but I'm here and it synchronizes with the web, and I could end my shift from here if I wanted to. And I could answer any, compliance related questions, et cetera, or edit my time card. I think, based on the jurisdiction or state that you're in, we would recommend, I would say to be fully labor compliant or to protect your business in the best possible way, whether or not you use a web-based system to clock in or the kiosk. What labor attorneys will recommend is that you do have a dedicated station to clock in and out. Because if, let's say, an employee comes in and another cashier is ringing up an associate and they have to wait 2 or 3 minutes to clock in, a good plaintiff's attorney will try to make the case that you shaved off 2 or 3 minutes of their shift for 60 shifts in a year times X amount of employees. That's how labor lawsuits start. So we don't, deputies agnostic to if you want to use the web, the mobile device, or the kiosk. What we do advocate for, though, is to have a dedicated station. So if you have a PC and you want to just do this, have a dedicated station to protect yourself in case a claim is attempted to be made that they could not actually clock in when they got there or when they were leaving. Starbucks recently actually got sued for this in California. It was a huge multi-million-dollar lawsuit where they said they actually made the employee clock out back in the back room, and then they had to had this whole sequence of events that they had to do by the time they left the back room and lock the door. Then they had to go, drop off the deposit at the bank. But even in the retail store, they had to do all these tasks. And they said, that sounds like 2 or 3 minutes times X amount of employees times X amount of shifts. And while they're a big employer, that law would apply to anyone technically in the country, but specifically in California. So anyways, that's probably more than what you're looking for. Yes, you can do it on web. I'm just connecting it back to the top trends. Labor compliance is a huge issue, and we're seeing a lot of businesses get into difficult situations for decisions that they may or may not be aware of with that time clock.
Great answer. Thank you, Derek. There's one other question. Is there a time or a vacation off module included?
Absolutely. So if I like to show it real time as the question comes up. So yes, there is. I'm actually going to, let's say I'm a retail employee. I'm now on my mobile app here on the screen. You can actually see there's a leave request option. So if I go here, I can actually see I'm going to request off, let's say. So today is, I'm going to actually say, so today is the 18th. I'm going to say, you know what, I need off tomorrow. What type of leave is it? Is it annual leave? I'm going to notify my manager, Dustin, who's my brother, and he manages the store, and I'm going to put a comment. I'm moving. It's my moving day. And they're able to put that in. They press done, and that actually routes to the manager for approval. And if they approve it, it will remove the person from the schedule and automatically attempt to find the best backup option, because we know that's the next step. You normally have to pick up the phone and start making phone calls. So absolutely, we have it, and it's configurable for whatever your type of leave options are for your employees.
Well, that's wonderful. I don't see any other questions, so we're going to go ahead and summarize up here and close out. But I just want to say this is some really cool stuff, Derek. I mean, the geo-checker, the thing that prevents buddy clocking. I mean, I'd never heard that expression before, but it's so true. I can see it happening. And facial recognition, just some really, really interesting, fascinating stuff that you have there in that product. I want to mention to everybody before we sign off that you can go and learn more on the link to our knowledge base. If you type in 2019, you'll see the 2019 release guide, which will have more information on this. To sign up, we will have a link, and that link will be provided in the presentation that is going to be loaded up on the site shortly following this, hopefully today, if not tomorrow at the latest. So you'll be able to log in. Is there a link that somebody can go to today, Derek, to log in and sign up? And also, there is before you answer that, there is another question here. What does it cost?
Yeah, great question. So let me answer the first one first and the second one second. So yes, we do have a link. It's probably a little long to mention, so we'll make sure it gets in the PDF that's sent, and you'll be able to click it. Our website is just deputy.com if you want to check us out, but we'll give you the link to check out the information on the integration with Paladin and to make sure you're getting the right type of service from Deputy. On the price, Deputy offers a free 30-day trial. So if you're just curious about it, you can, we'll give you the link in the follow-up materials to sign up for a trial. We will actually take your schedule. You can give it to us, pen, paper, Excel, whiteboard, picture, it doesn't matter. We'll load all that information for you. We'll give you a call, show you how it's set up, give you a little bit of training. You can test it out for 2 or 3 weeks to see if it's going to fit your business. No credit card needed. Just we want to make sure it would be a good fit for you. If it is a good fit for you, we have the premium plan, which includes the scheduling and time and attendance. It's very simple. It's either $3 or $4 per employee per month. So if, let's say you have 10 employees, it's either 30 or 40 bucks per month. And the difference between the $3 and $4 is just if you are on a month-to-month plan or if you actually sign up for a year contract. I personally recommend do the free 30-day trial, go month to month until like you're super happy. And then when you're like, hey, yeah, this is awesome, like we're locked in, like really good for our business, you can always upgrade to the annual plan and then get the little bit more discount. Cool. Charles, back over to you.
Oh, sorry. Here I am talking, as you can probably see. Sorry about that. Anyway, in closing, there's a couple of things I want to mention. One is we have another webinar coming up very shortly. It's going to be in another couple of weeks, and that is enhance your customer experience with EasyAd. I don't know if you've heard about this product, but it goes along with the theme of we're helping you put your data to work. And this is just another integration that we have that gives you both in-store and online marketing. It's a phenomenal product. It is something that's being used today in stores, and it works really, really well. So we'll have a webinar on that. That is July 9th, it looks like. So Tuesday, July 9th. So we'll move forward with that. And then, as I was mentioning when I was on mute, the webinars are accessible at portal.paladinpos.com/webinars. You can always go there and see it. Thank you so much for your time today, guys. Derek, you've been awesome. Your product is phenomenal. We really appreciate it, and I hope this was good use of everybody's time. We know you're busy, and until next time, we're going to sign off. Thanks, folks.